Welcome, friends. Welcome to today's Reconsider It live stream. Best live stream you're gonna see all day. And here on this live stream, you are gonna get a very nice hour of some beat making on these here 505 loop stations. Yes, I'm gonna be talking about how I make the sounds and such. Really great for all of your technical detail needs. And right now we are in a warm-up phase. We are just getting ourselves situated, getting the blood flowing. I see with us right now, we have got Apollo. And right now, my friends, here in this warm-up phase, I need to celebrate. I need to celebrate you. Thank you for being here. Whether you are here with us live in the chat, whether you are here with us live but you are not in the chat, whether you are here with us after the live, you are watching on replay, however it is that you are here with us, thank you for being here. If you are new to the Reconsider It live streams, welcome! We want you here. You made the right decision joining us. Friends, here in this warm-up phase, I am going to celebrate you at this time in this way. I have got my drink. I am going to count to 3 and I am going to clink the screen. You are invited to join the rest of us as we cheers along and celebrate our togetherness. comes fast on. 1, 0. 2. Oh my goodness. Oh man. 3. Clink. Cheers, my friend. Oh man. That's good. That's like as good as good. Please like this video. Please subscribe. I could use some subs. Friends, we have got a 505 beatmaking stream on our hands. This is really, really good. My regulars know what this is all about. I make these beats using only my vocals going through this mic. It sounds like it's all this, oh, look at all these different instruments and a bass line. And it's really just me singing poorly, but I'm using sound effects and the loopers. And so in this stream, I hereby demystify how I'm doing all of this. I'm going to be going through a lot of technical details. Man, you're going to love it if you like want to play around with one of these, or you already do and you want some new ideas, or you just really like hearing the details, or frankly, you're just drawn to my very charismatic personality and mannerisms. Whatever it is that you're hanging around and checking this out, we hereby commence. And of course, I always begin with the kick drum. And if you have seen these 505 beatmaking streams before, you know that there's a pattern to how I do the drums. So how to do this one here that you're hearing now. This one, this is me just going like this. That's all I'm doing. I'm not doing some kind of really impressive acapella, sound effects. That's not me. But these sound effects in the looper, if you want to try to reconstruct it, here's what I did. You can stack multiple effects. This is on the Mark I, the bottom looper, where I do percussion. Or things that don't require any kind of tuning to a certain key to be in tune with, like, in this case, F sharp major. Speaking of majors, I see right now that Oron has stopped by to show some love, which is very nice. I like that. So anyway, this kick drum, how did I do it? It's just me going like this. So how does it sound like this? I stacked 2 effects. Here are the 2 effects that I used in the Mark I. And you would be able to reproduce these easily on the Mark II, although in some cases they're called something slightly different. But on the Mark I that I used, I stack an EQ, start with an EQ, which means I'm getting a boost, and you can tone like low, medium, high, or rather tune or adjust. I generally would take the low up a little bit, take the high end down a little bit for my kick. Let me see. Let me see if I did that here. No, not exactly. I boosted the low end, and I kept the high end mostly flat. One of them, the high mid, was +1. Low end was +10. So that one was really doing it. So the EQ, boosted low end, gives me part of this. But you can hear it's still got this like overdriven graininess. That comes from the vocal distortion. Vocal distortion is dope on the Mark 1. It gives you that kind of like heavy, kind of, you know, oh, I gotta tune it down a little bit, you know, overdriven flavor. And I generally record at this point for the past couple of weeks as a new pattern. I generally record 2 kick layers that are both panned slightly left and right. My regulars know that the best way to consume my looper content is with a good pair of speakers like what I have here. Like some noise canceling speakers like this that go around your ears and all that. That's the best way to, because I got a lot of panning that I do. So these are slightly panned left and right. They have a different feel. One of them is more intense. The other one is more chilled out. That'll help me control the mood and things as I play around with the song. But they're made from the same sound effects, the EQ and the vocal distortion as I described them earlier. Then there's this like shaker thing. Not exactly a hi-hat. Shaker hi-hat thing. This is just a couple of layers, because you could do that in loopers, you could stack the layers. This is just a couple of layers of me going like this. Or something, you know, kind of close to that. So there's that. This one was made from the same sound effects as the kick. So the same EQ, the same vocal distortion. I often like to have, to whatever degree I can, I like to have the different layers mirror each other in some way, or match each other maybe, or complement each other in some way. In this case, I also have 2 layers that are the sort of steady hi-hat or whatever, what have you. These also are panned left and right. These are further panned left and right because they are further left and right on the physical looper here. I love doing that. It's so intuitive. I do that on the other looper too. The center one is panned to the center, and the rest of them are panned left and right increasingly. At this point, you are caught up. You are caught up regarding the drums that I made so far. I still need to make a like snare clap layer, so I'm gonna do one of those quick right now. I'm gonna put on the bass while I do. That's it. We have this like clap snare layer now. So now we talk about the bass. Now we're going up to the top looper because I've used all the available channels down here in the lower looper. The Mark 1, which has a lot of features, but the Mark 2 on the top, which is an upgrade, has way more features. It's like they're not even, I mean, they're comparable, but it's the Mark 2 is so good. Anyway, one of the cool features of the Mark 2 is that it lets you tune things. It has a snap tuner, as we call it. A snap tuner, which means this bass line here that you're hearing. That's not me having some awesome deep singing voice. That's me going like do 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 or whatever it is that I did here. But it's something close to that. And yet, when I pass it through these input effects in the Mark II looper, makes it sound like this bass. How does that happen? That's where I'm revealing the magic here. So that's the bass line that I have looped. See, that's all I'm doing. You can hear the bass line in the back. That's all I'm doing. And yet, you know, it gives you this. You should feel very confident. You should feel very confident using these loopers and your ability to make something cool with them. So as you see, I'm not like some awesome bass singer. But how did I make this sound effect in case you want to try to replicate it? Here we go. Here's what I did. I use all 4 input effects. I generally do that on the top looper. And all 4 input effects we apply in order. So the first one that I use, sort of the core essence of this instrument, is called guitar to bass, which is what it sounds like. It takes a signal and drops it the octaves and whatever else it does to make it sound like a bass. So that's the main thing that makes me singing like do that, makes that sound like this bass line. The main thing is this guitar to bass. That's the main element. After that, after guitar to bass input effect, then I move it into the electric. The electric is the snap tuner, so that my very mediocre singing is ensured to at least be on key. This one is an F sharp, but you can do any of the 12 major scales. That's the electric input effect. Then I pass that into a sustainer, which I understand is similar to a compressor. I use it as a loudness control, the sustainer. Guitar to bass, electric, sustainer, and then at the end I passed into a phaser, which I didn't use a lot of. I'll be quiet for a second, but you can hear like a very small sort of like unstableness, a sort of small waviness. In the sustained notes there. So that's it. That's how I made this bass instrument. guitar to bass, passed into electric, which is the tuner, passed into sustainer, passed into phaser. That's this bass. And then we have this thing, whatever this is. Some kind of self-harmonic something or other. I don't know what you want to call this. But this is another one that I have duplicates of. This one flanks the bass left and right, so it's also panned a little left and right. The instrument I put there is generally meant to complement and support the bass. Not always, but usually that's my approach. So we have these two layers here. How'd I do it? And again, this is just me going like, na, 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 na. Like I'm not singing, you know, I'm not doing something special with my voice. It's just the looper. So, how did I do it? The first aspect of this instrument, the first input effect component, this one is a distortion, so it kind of matches what I did in the drums down here. This kick sound and all the other drums are mainly a distortion. It gives it that like heavy graininess. Use the same thing on the top here, the distortion. The only difference is on the top looper there are, I believe, 6. I'm going to confirm. Hold on. Yeah, 6. There's 6 different types of distortions on the top looper. It's awesome. That's one of the ways that the top looper is just like, oh, it opened up so many possibilities and so many doors. In any case, that's the first thing that this instrument is based on, is that distortion and the vocal type. That's what you're hearing here, this vocal distortion on the top looper. That's actually the first of the 6, because that's all you had on the lower one. I take that distortion, vocal subtype, pass it into the electric, the tuner, pass that into an oscillator bot. That's what gives it the sort of like robotic sound. At the end, that's passed into a tremolo, which is what gives it the choppiness. But that like robotic self-harmonic thing, that's the oscillator bot. That was not a formal cheers moment, by the way. There was not necessarily this like unified body of listeners across space and time all joining together in unison. That wasn't necessarily what just happened there. I was just having a drink. However, I know that many people do like to have a sort of like private, informal cheers when I just take a drink of something. That is acceptable to me. You might find that you get even more out of these streams. So that's it. You now have made this instrument too. I've demystified like everything I'm doing up here. Once again, this instrument is made out of distortion, vocal subtype, passed into the electric, which is the tuner, passed into the oscillator bot, which is what gives it that like robotic sound. Then that's passed into a tremolo, which is what gives it the choppiness. That's it. You could easily reproduce this. I'm also using, on both loopers, a little bit of output effect. Not a lot, really, but if you listen on the drums, there's a little bit of an edge that comes in. There's the raw No effects. Hi-hat. Now I'm going to bring this effect in. You see it gets like a little edge to it? That's a delay down here on the lower looper. The output effects in the upper right, which apply to all the layers, unless you disable it, which you can do. On the upper looper, I also had the gate reverb. Oh, by the way, I didn't say, the delay I used on the lower looper here to give it that little edge, that is a very, very short frequency. What are they? 22 milliseconds. 22 milliseconds to give it that sharp edge. I only discovered that recently. That was a good discovery. I was playing around just changing settings and things, renewing all of my settings and what have you. So that was a good find. I'll save you, however long it took me to figure that out. And on the upper looper, I had this gate reverb on. You could hear I turned that up. So this one's pretty dope, and you can hear that pretty clearly. Should I listen to these backwards? Should we listen to these backwards? To experiment with the reverse when it works, but it's tough to predict when a melody will work backward. Sometimes it just sounds great. Other times it's like oh, nice. I was able to do that twice. That's good. All right. Now that you know everything I've done already, everything that made up, everything that comprised the warm-up beat that was prepared before the stream began, which is all you've heard so far. Now the time has come. Let's add some more to this beat. The top looper lets you save 4 instruments in a single configuration, which I call a palette. I have a palette of 4 instruments, and you can have up to 99 palettes. I have 36 palettes. We're just looking at one of them, one of my F sharps. And so I have 2 more instruments in this palette. I have a decent sense, I think, of how I'm going to use both of them. At least how I'm going to position them in the song. I still need to succeed. All right. So we got this. We got these other two instruments here. As I say, I have a sense of how I'm going to position them in the song. But of course, I need to feel out exactly, you know, what kind of melody or whatever I'm going to do. Or maybe not a melody, maybe some kind of like ambient something or other. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet. But here's the next instrument I'm going to use. I'm going to be putting this one far to the left channel. This one is going to have a kind of a supporting type of layer, but we'll see exactly how. But here's how it's made. This next instrument that you've not yet heard on this stream. Here's how it's built. First of the 4 input effects. First one is a synth. I generally use that like a brass of some kind. A trumpet, like a muted trumpet. Some kind of brass. That's what the starting essence of it is. Take that synth, the brass, take that synth, move it into an electric, a tuner, and then that's passed into a radio. The radio gives it a sort of like run through the fax machine kind of quality. You know, some kind of recording that was left on an answering machine. It gives it that kind of essence. That's the radio. So we'll see how that plays together. Like a muted trumpet kind of thing. By the way, it doesn't actually sound like a trumpet. What I mean is I use it compositionally the way you might use a trumpet. The way you might use the brass. Probably not a tuba, but some other kind of brass. The synth, the brass, passed into electric, passed into the radio, the thing that makes it sound like you're listening to a voicemail. And then all of that gets passed into a tape echo 2. Tape echo 2 is like a dense echo. It's like a what am I trying to say? Delay. So we'll see how this sounds. I'll play around a little bit, get a sense for what kind of contribution it can make to the song, and then make a loop. Let's check it out. I'm going to go off of speaking mic and go into instrument mic. So that's that. That's that new instrument here. This is the one I said that its core essence is like this muted trumpet, this brass kind of thing. It has this like very, I'm not sure how to describe what I'm hearing. This very like consistent signal. Continuous signal. And this was again made out of the synth. The synth passed into electric tuner, passed into the radio. That's what gives it its, I don't know, almost like annoyingness. You can hear on the near the end there's like a little raspy quality to it. That's the distortion brought in by the radio. And then tape echo too at the end. You can hear that pretty early, pretty clearly. Also pretty eerily. It would be through your ears that you heard it, so that's technically not false. You would hear it pretty eerily. One of my other 505 techniques that is appropriate to share here on a 505 beatmaking stream. One of my other techniques when I'm, playing, when I'm doing the live looping, is I like to just go back and forth between two layers that complement each other, or I leave them both off for a little bit, and then I would bring one of them back in, but I drop out the bass. So it's just a lot of like on-offing, and most of my arrangements are just a lot, I guess technically all. This is a bit like saying I'm breathing air right now. All of my arrangements are just on-offing my various loops that I have. These different layers of this instrument, the bass, the drum, the individual drums. So that's also something to think about if you are considering getting one of these and thinking about how you're going to use it. That's one approach you could start with to try, is just have a bunch of loops and then play with turning them on and off. That's one of the really strong features that this both these 505s offer, is they give you the ability to turn loops on and off. Sometimes you just have like one looper and it's like, okay, you can build up 5 layers or whatever. But then you can either play them all or none of them. It's like, all right, that has a use, but it's not going to give you this kind of stuff. You need this more granular control. And here's what I need some granular control of. We still have one more layer to use here, and one more instrument that remains unused from this palette. So here's what this final instrument is. You have not yet heard this one on this stream. Here's the final instrument that I'm going to use. I built it thusly. Started with a preamp. Preamp is mostly a loudness boost. It's a bit like you plugged your guitar into your amp and you played at your, punk show. An amp. It's like a preamp. So it gives you kind of a growly boost. That's what this one starts with. That growly boost of your pure signal. And there's a little bit of like slimming of it in there too. There's a little bit of destruction of the sound that goes on with the preamp. The preamp then is passed into the electric, the tuner. That's then passed into an auto harmonizer. Whoa. Auto harmonizer. Set to high, which means it's going to harmonize with, some chord a little higher than F sharp, in the key of F sharp. It's got high, higher, and then octave. So there's 2 in between. What is it, the 4th and the 5th? I don't know what it's going to be. Probably not the 4th and the 5th. But it's something like that. It's gonna have an auto duplicate layer of auto harmonizing. So we'll see how that sounds. Then all of it passed into a step slicer, so choppy slicing. The step slicer is the one that I have dynamic control of, so you'll hear some of it slice, some of it not as much. And that's it. That's what this one is, my friends. A preamp, electric, auto harmonizer, and then a step slicer. Let's do it. I'm gonna go off of the speaking and onto this instrument here that I just described. So we have this new instrument, which I'm going to bring back in right now. The preamp gives it that sort of like loud, edgy sound. Electric, the tuner, then the auto harmonizer. Do you hear the little like overtone? That auto harmonizer. Then finally passed into the step slicer. You can hear that one pretty clearly. That's nice. Nice. We have a nice, very full beat here at this time. And you have seen every step of the way how every part of it has been made. You are so empowered at this time and also entertained, which is really good. What a great experience this is. I love connecting with you like this. Please like this video. Please subscribe. I could use some subs. Friends, thank you for being here. Thank you for being with us. It's so much better with you here. I hope to see you in the next live stream. My regulars know we've got a variety of flavors of live stream. Here on Reconsider It's Music Sketchpad. Today we were in the upper right 505 Beatmaking, where I make a beat and I describe what I'm doing on the loopers while I make the beat. Join us for 505 Beatmaking. In the lower right, we have got Tinkering in the Studio. Tinkering in the Studio has no goal, has no aim, has no focus. Sometimes it's almost totally an instrumental. Loopers, I bring in the synthesizer. Other times we talk a lot. Who knows what's going to happen? It's the everything stream. Join us for Tinkering in the Studio. In the lower left, we got Unspoken, where it is just only loopers and synth. No talking at all. Perfect for your instrumental needs. Join us for Unspoken. In the upper left, we have got Loops and Chill. That looks like a well-rehearsed performance. Nope. I'm building the plane while I'm flying it, friends. Who knows what the beats are going to sound like or how I'm going to put them together and arrange them. Totally unpredictable. Join us for Loops and Chill. And whatever kind of stream it is that you join us for next time. Until then, please have a very good rest of your day today. Please let the rest of your day today afford you safe practice. Please allow the rest of your day today to bring you enjoyable exercise. Please get even more healthy today than you already are today, right now, today. Please allow your health to escalate to entirely new levels of good for you-ness. Please allow this to come to you today, and I will see you in the next Reconsider It live stream.